In this video, we'll quickly review the layer mask, which I've already mentioned in the previous video, and then we'll also talk a little bit about how you can sort of refine that layer mask as well. So let's take a look. Let's go back to where we were in Photoshop. And so what I had done, and I'm just going to remove this one. So if you right click on the mask, you can disable it, which would remove the mask, or you can delete the mask, which I will do here. Although, I guess I should just let me undo that. Let me get the selection first, though. So I'm going to add back to the selection. Then I'll delete this. So I don't have to select it there. So what we've got, right, is this selected object. We've done a few things to kind of get the selection pretty good. As I was mentioning, what you're trying to do here is non-destructive editing. And so we don't want to delete this black here. We just want to hide it. And we do that with the mask. So the mask is this little flag here with the circle in it. And make sure you're on the right layer to do that. There we go. And so you can see here, we've got now, because I've disabled that white background, we can see that we've got the transparency. We can kind of see the selection here. Yeah, it's non-destructive because in reality, everything in behind is still here. And what you can do with a mask, which makes it very useful, is if you grab your brush and you've got sort of black or white, black will add to the mask. So if I came in, I don't want to get rid of the center or whatever, you can see that it is removing it. Now the trick though is that it's not removed it per se, it is really just hidden it. And it's hidden it behind this mask of black. And so if we want to bring it back, all I do is I can swap the brush. You can press X as well, but swap it there. And voila, it is back. And so the whole idea of masking, now I've obviously messed this little bit up now. So let me just go back in. And I would not recommend using the brush here to do this because it's sort of finicky work. It's better to use your selection tool. But if I put the black back on and sort of work my way along here, being as careful as I can be, you can see we get that same effect, okay? And obviously I've just got to get my brush a little bit smaller. And you can do this, right? You can if you're very careful, right, you can do some really nice selections because you can get down basically to the pixel layer, but it's just sort of a matter of time, right? Like, do you want to spend the time doing that? But there we go. Okay, so I haven't deleted anything, and again, we could get in here, right? Again, depending on how accurate you want to be, I could go in and sort of remove a little bit of that black and refine that selection that way. Now that's doing it manually. There is also the ability to use these things here. I've never really used the density per se, but the feather there can help. And so we'll just sort of pop down here, right? Using the feather there, that will sort of soften the edge. And so you'll get a bit finer one. Yeah, so it depends on which way, how you want to do this. But if we just sort of play around a little bit with that edge. So I'm going to go large here just so we can sort of see. And you start to see this bit of gray. So even though I've talked about the mask being black and white, the reality is that it is shades of gray as well. And so the gray provides a certain amount of opacity. Now obviously that feather is quite profound there, right? I just did that for example. But if I sort of lower it down maybe to a pixel or so, what happens then is the edge isn't hard edge. It's got a bit of smoothness to it. Now again, it's a little bit harder to see when you're dealing with small amounts here, but hopefully you can see there's a little bit of transparency in a way, so it blends the edge a little bit smoother than it would be otherwise. Now you can get into further stuff, which we will in the next video, but that's sort of what we're just wanting to talk about here. What you can do, and I'm not going to do that with you, but you can sort of go ahead, is do the same thing we did before with a coffee cup in the Galaxy, but instead of deleting everything like we did before, you could use a layer mask to better put it in there. And the nice thing about the feather too, remember it had that sort of hard edge on it? Well, if you have a bit of a feather on this, what will happen is it will probably integrate a little bit smoother, so you won't have, this image and then this image with a hard border on it. It will be a much smoother transition, and you'll find it gets integrated better. Okay, so you can work on that yourself, and then we'll see you in the next video.